Welcome to Sneak Peek, this week in entertainment news.
Halloween was last Friday and the stars outdid themselves. Heidi Klum went as a butterfly, Taylor Swift went as a pegacorn, Neil Patrick Harris and David Burtka dressed their family as characters from Batman.
Ouija and Nightcrawler tied for the #1 box office spot this weekend, showing that even those who forgo trick-or-treating on Halloween still want to feel a little creeped out.
2 more shows were dropped from NBC's comedy lineup, A to Z and Bad Judge, following ABC's cancellation of Manhattan Love Story and Fox's declined order for Mulaney. Turns out we were right for feeling a little insecure about this season's lineup.
And that's what we've got for you for this week, so sit back and relax because it's time for another episode of Sneak Peek.
Was that supposed to rhyme?
Welcome back, Sneak Peekers, to today's special episode of Sneak Peek. I'm Olivia.
And I'm Christian. Today's episode is all about everyone's favorite Austin festival.
Austin's Reggae Fest?
No, Austin Film Festival, but coming up first, we've got an interview with the writer of Al Pacino's new movie, The Humbling.
Wait, so are we ever going to cover the Reggae Fest?
Hey Sneak Peekers, this is Kim Carmona at the Austin Film Fest premiere of The Humbling. We're going to be talking to the writer. Check it out. First question, this is your first feature film. So what was your biggest, fear coming into this project?
Oh, well, I didn't really have time for fears at the beginning. The fears came a little more later when it started to be, my biggest fear actually is that there was a big chunk of time when I thought it wasn't going to get made. So that was terribly frightening, obviously. Because, of the implications, and I had worked so hard on this project, and it was my passion project, and it was everyone's passion project, so I just really wanted to see it made. The fears just have to, the fear that whether or not people are actually going to like it. So the fears come now, I guess, as I'm walking into the theater. But other than that, it's been a fantastic experience.
So The Humbling is based off a book. How was the process for writing that, trying to make a book into a film?
Well, in this case, it was a lot about, the book is a Philip Roth novel. And that novel, it's a highly internal struggle that Simon Axler is going through. And not that much happens in the book. It's much more about his emotional turmoil and ups and downs. So one of the main questions I had to ask myself is how to externalize that very internal struggle. And so we brought in a lot of new characters to make that happen, and a lot of.
So what part of the film are you most excited for the audience to see?
I would say the ending. Yes, and the scene at the vet is pretty great. I like that scene a lot. So.
Did you learn anything from the process or just the film itself?
Yes, I learned a lot. 2 of the main things that I learned. The first one, this is just very technical, but just there can't be only one thing going on in a scene. If there's only one thing going on in a scene, it gets boring. So whether that's multiple emotional levels of different things going on, or just lots of different actions, so different plot lines intersecting, you have to layer your scene. That's just one, as a writer, tangible thing that I learned. And other than that, I just learned what it's like to make a movie, and the ups and downs, and how personal it can be. And by that I just mean when you get so emotionally attached to your characters, and you feel a little bit like what happens to them is happening to you at times, and how exciting and humbling the process of making a movie can be, and all of that. So it's been great.
Wow, what a humbling interview.
Come on, I thought we moved past puns.
Hey, if Richard Linklater could still be punny, I can be punny.
Is Richard Linklater punny?
We'll have to find out. Up next is the interview with the man himself.
Hi Sneak Peekers, I'm Ricardo Gonzalez here at the premiere of 21 Years Richard Linklater at Austin Film Festival. What is the most rewarding thing about collaborating on this project, the documentary?
Just being able to say great things about Rick, because he's a hero of mine, and he was such an influence on me when I came to University of Texas myself in 1991, and that's when his first movie, Slacker, was in Adobe. It was playing midnight. He had floor-walled it, and it was doing so well that it just kept playing. Yeah, and it was the first time that I really realized that like a human being made a movie, and that, you know, that human being was walking around in Austin, and I would see him, and I would think to myself, wow, maybe I could actually do that one day.
As a producer, what sort of obstacles did you face in actually making this film come to fruition?
The hardest thing about this film was scheduling. Everybody's very busy. Everybody said yes, so that part was easy. But they're all very busy. Matthew was on Dallas Buyers Club, and then right into True Detectives, and you know everybody's doing very well, which is great. But that's what took so long.
What kind of challenges did you face in producing this project, and how did you overcome them?
Oh, you know what? There weren't a lot of challenges. We were really fortunate. We actually, you know, Tara and Michael brought me on board about a year ago, and they already had a ton of the footage already in terms of cutting it all together. Powerhouse Animation was already on board. And so for me, it was really just figuring out like the strategy of how and when we were going to take the film out. So that was a big part of my role, because I also work for Octavia Spencer, who's the distributor for the film. And you know, everyone was like, let's get it really excited. And I was like, let's just wait a beat and see. And so, you know, that was probably my biggest challenge, was trying to get everybody to hold off until we felt like the time was right to get it out into the world, which I feel like is a good time right now.
What is the most important discovery you think you made about Richard Linklater while directing this movie?
It's a great question. Before I started this movie, I would define myself as a casual fan of Rick. There were several of his movies that I loved, and a few more that I knew, but I think that I had what many people think of him, which is a very sort of thinking of him as a very sort of casual, offhand filmmaker. And actor after actor after actor told me about how incredibly not only smart and cerebral, but incredibly prepared and meticulous he is. Zac Efron, for instance, told us that, you know, when they went to film Me and Orson Welles, that Rick knew more about the 1930s than anyone on set. Rick was teaching the production designer thing, you know, Rick was teaching everybody things about the 1930s. And I think that's one of the things that maybe not surprised me, but I just never really knew about Rick, that he was such a meticulously researched guy and so careful about what he did.
You know what, for me, it was sort of a retrospective on what I was sort of, I mean, it's weird because I'm a big fan of Rick's, and so there was no surprise at how great he is. And I got to look at a couple of films that I had done with him and maybe where I was at that time. It's a really good question, man. Nothing I didn't know about him, but what I really liked about it was sort of the joy of the people that are fans of his and spending time. And Billy Bob Thornton's an old buddy, so I was there the same night that he did his interview. So we got to talk about Rick a little bit from a different perspective. You know, him being a big star and me being sort of a guy that came up at the same time with Rick here. Really good question. I just enjoyed the whole thing. It brought up nice memories of being in Austin and sort of struggling as an actor when he did Slacker and Dazed and Confused. Yeah, man, it was cool.
I can't believe Richard Linklater has been making movies for as long as I've been alive.
I know, right? We've literally grown up with his films.
I feel like I'm having an existential crisis right now.
Do you need us to get this commercial?
That would be best.
Stay tuned. More Sneak Peek coming at you after the break.
Welcome back, beautiful viewers. We've missed you.
We sure did. And you came back just in time to watch yet another amazing interview.
Here is Brian with a sit-down interview with the cast of 7 Minutes.
Roll the clip.
Hey Sneak Peekers, Brian here. So I'm with Jay Martin and Jason Ritter, the director and actor for the latest film, 7 Minutes. So what motivated you to write this? Because I certainly hope it's not based off of real events, maybe.
No, I did not rob my uncle's store, but my ancestor actually did in Red Level, Alabama, in the 1930s. One of my ancestors actually robbed his uncle's bank and went to jail for it. So that was kind of in the back of my mind, kind of brewing as a inspiration. And when I wrote the script, I was trying to write something about how a tragic event or crime happens in such a short amount of time, but yet has such devastating effects.
All right, so this question is more aimed towards you. So, how did you actually get into character? Like, because Mike wasn't really, how do I say this nicely? Not the coolest guy out there, right? Like, he was a sleazeball. So.
He's a sleazeball. He's a scoundrel. Yeah. He, you know, it was really interesting. You know, I feel like when you get a character, you have to sort of, it's like getting a case or something as a lawyer, and you're like, all right, so here are the facts, here's what he's done, but then you have to sort of represent him. And you have to, so we hung out with each other a lot, and just tried to get into the mindset of a guy who Mike just doesn't care as much as I do about what other people think of him. So he's being selfish, he's trying to get ahead, he does some things that hurt some people's feelings.
Hey, sneak peekers, Brian here with Luke Mitchell and Zane Holtz, actors for Sam and Owen for the latest film, 7 Minutes. So, the first thing I must ask you is, what brought you to the film?
Take it away, Zane.
Sure. I had worked previously with, Edie Belasco is the casting director, and she'd put me in a movie before. So I'd done some stuff with her, so she sent me a script, or sent it through the agency. And I read it, and I thought it was really cool. I thought the non-linear storytelling was interesting. I wanted to do a heist movie. Luke had already been attached, so I was reading it knowing that the character that I would be reading in mind would be Owen. And I thought I had, an opportunity to do something fun and cool with that character.
Yeah, it's all about the script, really. As soon as I got sent it, I read it and went, this is fun. This is something I'd want to see at the movies. And then when I realized I had an opportunity to, go for the lead role, I went, yeah, I'll take that. And luckily they liked, what I did in the audition, and I don't know, it was kind of a bit of a roller coaster ride. It was a lot of fun, and getting to immerse ourselves up in Everett.
What was it like working with a director like Jay? Because you keep on mentioning how it was a non-linear script, and it was really, I love the way it was. It was really creative. You were able to get every single piece of moment of the scene, and you can piece it together and just get a complete story. It was amazing, and I love how he did it. But was it hard on you guys trying to do that in a way?
You know what? To be honest, shooting is typically non-linear anyway, so that didn't really affect us. You're always shooting TV shows or films out of the order. You don't start on page one, so in that regard, that didn't really matter. We were playing each scene and each moment on the day and for what it was, because that's all you can ever do when you're shooting the movie. We just were sitting there hoping that it would all match up and edit together and make sense. There was times, though, we did have sort of a script that was not shot, but a script that was rearranged so that it was linear, so that we could consult and be like, okay, I know we're here, but what has already happened?
Where exactly does this scene fit into?
Well, thank you. On behalf of Sneak Peek, I want to thank you for letting me interview you guys. Check out Luke and Zane's film, 7 Minutes, premiering.
Premiering.
It's the world premiere tonight.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching.
7 Minutes looks pretty great, but I love bank robbery movies. What about you?
I don't know. I love drama. Movies that can give you a good cry.
Well then, you're gonna love our next interview. It's Kevin Costner and Octavia Spencer's latest movie, Black and White, and I hear it's a bit of a tearjerker.
Oh, I could already feel the tears forming already, and it's only the red carpet interview.
Hey sneak peekers, it's Chelsea, here on the red carpet with Black or White at Austin Film Festival. What was it like when you first heard that you got the role?
It was fun. It was really cool because we were in New York and it was my golden birthday. So
Awesome.
I was 9 on the 9th, so.
9 on the 9th? I was 7 on the 7th, too, so yeah. So were you nervous coming into this movie at all?
Not really, no.
What was it like? How was it different from filming your other couple of movies that you had done?
It seemed to be kind of the same, but I had a bigger role and I was there longer, so.
So like Kevin Costner and Octavia Spencer and Anthony Mackie are in the movie with you. What was it like on set working with them?
Anthony was really fun. Paula Newsome was really fun. and Kevin was really fun. He treated me great, and so did Octavia. Everybody did.
My role, do you know that film is basically about two grandparents fighting over custody of their granddaughter, and I play the judge. And it's very, what I love about this film is that it's very sensitive. You know, when you're dealing with race issues and straight out in the open, particularly when it's family members, it's very sensitive. It's very touchy. Yeah. And as playing a judge who's an African American who's deciding this case is also a little tricky. So that's what I do.
So the idea of the whole importance of racism in the world right now, is that what drew you to this script?
Absolutely. I'm doing this thing. One thing that I've been thinking a lot about is the impact of slavery on our nation. And it's something that we don't talk about a lot because it is so touchy and people get so nervous about it. But this is exactly what we're dealing with in this script. The impact of racism, the impact of slavery on this family and how they deal with it, how they work their way through it.
So you directed Black or White. Yeah. What can you tell us about the film?
It's I don't know. I mean, I think it's a slice of life. It's a family story. It's a story that it's an interracial custody battle. You know, I mean, in a lot of ways, it was inspired from events in my real life because my wife and I helped raise a biracial son and a boy, and who was my nephew and her nephew. And I think Kevin and I like to say that it's a conversation starter.
So did you have an idea in mind for the cast before it was cast, or no?
I thought Kevin would be good. I'd worked with him before. We'd made another movie together, and I like him a lot as a person and as an actor, and I've always was a fan of his when I was a kid. Yeah. And I liked working with him, and I gave him the script before anybody else, and he called me up and said, I want to do it pretty quickly, so I figured he was passionate about it, and we ended up producing it together, and he put a lot of his heart and soul and his own money into it, you know?
So you said you've worked with him before. What was it like working with him and Octavia and Anthony Mackie in this?
I love Octavia. I mean, I just love her. You know, I love her as a performer and as a person. She's got a big heart. You know, it's what you kind of find, that people become stars for a reason because there's something that comes across the camera, and she's got a big heart, that woman, you know. And Anthony Mackie is a character. He's a scoundrel. He's a great guy, man. Yeah. He's a lot of fun, you know.
It was great meeting you.
Yeah, you too, Chelsea.
Looking forward to seeing it.
You know, it's interesting to see Jillian Jacobs in more of a dramatic role.
That's true. I feel like I've only seen her in Community, although, to be fair, a lot of comedic actors are fantastic dramatic actors. You know, you've got Adam Sandler, Jim Carrey, Steve Carell.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, we've got a lot of them breaking into drama this year.
Speaking of breaking, we are going to break into a quick commercial.
Ha! Puns.
Stay tuned for more sneak peek. You know, Christian, we've had some pretty crazy times working here on Sneak Peek.
Can't argue with that one, Olivia. In fact, I'd say they were a little wild.
Who are we kidding? We aren't crazy. We are very young, mature adults.
Fine, I just wanted to sound cool.
You know what is cool? Our interview with the cast and crew from Wild.
What a brilliant segue. Let's roll the clip.
Hey, Sneak Peek, we're here at the premiere of Wild at the Austin Film Festival, so check it out. So you play Frank. Were there any challenges that you faced during this?
Doing this film? No.
Yes.
No, not really. The funny thing is I was brought in for tractor training, and I grew up on a farm. So they bring me in for like 2 hours of tractor training on a Massey Ferguson 175 with a blade on it. So I just sit down, drop the blade, moved a little gravel, and I said, I think we're done. So that was the only thing that they thought was going to be a challenge, wasn't. And we actually finished the day 2 hours early because I could actually drive a tractor.
So you were experienced with all of us, and you guys filmed in kind of remote areas, right?
Yeah, we were, most of my stuff was outside of Bend, Oregon. We were in Portland and Bend on opposite sides of the state.
So we are with the university, so do you have any type of advice to give to film students?
That's not profane. Don't quit. Don't. Well, I read that David Mamet wrote it. I didn't write it. I remember reading when I was in theater school. If you don't take your ball and go home, you will eventually get in the game. So I always stuck that to memory.
Thank you so much. Nice meeting you.
Should. Nice meeting you.
I bet Reese Witherspoon smells really nice.
You know, it's kind of weird, but I kind of agree with you.
What do you think she smells like?
Roses, maybe some water.
Did you just trick me into a segue for our next interview with the cast and crew of Rosewater?
I sure did. Let's check it out.
Hi, Sneak Peek. It's Edward. We are here at the red carpet for Rosewater. We are going to be talking to director Jon Stewart. Yes, that Jon Stewart. And also memoir author Maziar Bahan. So we'll be right back. As not only the author of the memoir, but also, you know, the subject and the person going through the ordeal, was there any hesitation in having it when approached to adapt it into a film?
No, I think talking about the story is not really opening fresh wounds. I think it's healing the wounds. I think it's very healthy for people to talk about the ordeals that they're going through, because if you don't talk about it, it means that the people who have put you through all those horrible situations, they are the winners. So you have to really gain back your humanity through talking about it.
And the actor who plays you, Gael, he does a good job with you. Would you say that? Okay. But if he wasn't available, and you got to pick the guy who's playing you, would it be Clooney or Terry Crews? Who's going to play you
I
in
would
the
go
sequel?
with Will Smith or Denzel Washington, if they could dance. But in the absence of Denzel or Will Smith, I think Gael is doing a great job.
He absolutely is. Thank you so much. Can't wait to see the film. Sorry about this setup. I'm sorry.
I'm going to pretend you're not.
So now, since directing this film,
Yeah.
when directors and screenwriters come on your show, is there a greater or a different understanding of kind of their work now? Has your approach to interviewing these people changed?
That's an excellent question. I think I was going to say, hey, wait a minute. Thought you were in college. I think it has. I mean, anytime I think you attempt something, when you get into the intricacies of it and the complexities of it, it gives you a much greater empathy or understanding of the types of processes they go through. But it's not that the process was so alien to me, it was the vocabulary. So I think what I've developed is more a shared vocabulary with them, as opposed to the process of the show is not so alien to the process of doing a movie. It's really about that shared vernacular. It's like Austin isn't that different from New York, but you spend a little time here, you start to feel that shared. Yeah, it's about the love of brisket, really, in both places.
Aside from a Goodfellas-inspired mobster, what is your favorite impersonation to do on the air? Is it
First
Lindsey
of all,
Graham?
let me say this. Thank you for calling them impersonations. That may be the nicest way anybody's ever put it. You always got to enjoy a little turtle action, a little McConnell, a little bit of Graham.
Yeah.
I'm gonna defeat Allison Grimes. Yep. Schumer's always a joy. It's like
fun.
it's like doing a scene from Yentl. You know, it's great.
All right, thank you so much, John.
Take care, man.
Dang, that sounds like an intense movie.
You know, it's got everything. It's got the triumphs of the human spirit, incarceration, foreign people.
It kind of sounds like an episode of Sneak Peek.
You know, I never thought about it that way, but you're so right.
Which makes this all the more sad that we have to draw this one to a close.
Until next week, sweet viewers.